afternoon, everyone. My name is Niki Kux-Kardos, and I'm the founder of Nexus Facilitation, which is my company that specializes in communication, conflict management, and executive coaching, particularly with families who are in business together. I've had a variety of speaking engagements ranging from smaller groups to university lectures, and sometimes larger groups where I'm doing workshops and things like that. So today, I'm really here to talk to you about effective speaking and the do's and don'ts that I've come across in my experience when it comes to engaging your audience. I still remember that moment of doom. It was about 5 years ago, and I was invited to do a university lecture. I thought, hey, I'm a student, fresh student, I'm talented, I'm not scared of public speaking, I can do this. I don't really need to prepare, and it's with students anyway. So I walked up to that room full of confidence and full of energy to get up there and do my thing. And what I didn't realize at that time was that I was going to be the last speaker of a 3-hour session on the last day of classes for fourth-year university students. And the only reason why they were there at all is because their professor had bribed them by holding back their final paper and final mark. And to top it off, there was a beer garden waiting for them outside, minutes away. So as I sat in that room and realized that my lack of attention and preparation to think about my audience and what that was going to mean when I got up there, I really started to panic. And as it was my turn to get up there, it was the worst moment of my public speaking history. Most of the students looked asleep, and those who weren't kept checking their clock, ready to get outside and just leave that room. And as I started to get nervous and the sweat started to formulate and I started to feel the panic, I thought, okay, I'll just turn that into being funny, so let's whip out my best jokes. And I did that, and not one single person laughed. And it continued and continued until I decided to save myself and them the misery. I ended up finishing early and walked away from that day knowing that I had a lot to learn about public speaking. Whether I thought I was good at it or not didn't matter. I obviously had failed to engage my audience. So, when it comes to public speaking, generally people either feel like this: woohoo, thumbs up, I can't wait to get out there and talk in front of people. They're full of confidence and enthusiasm and energy. And if they're not, the other kind of people generally feel more like this. If even asked to get up in front of people, they turn away. And if somehow they do get roped in, they feel kind of like this about it: nervous, anxious, panicked, and really not in their place of comfort. So what I'd like to do today is talk a little bit about the purpose of public speaking. Why is it even important for us as members of the chamber, as business people? And talk a little bit about what the status quo is, what I generally encounter when it comes to public speaking, and then some of the do's and don'ts and what we can do to be more effective and engaging. So let's talk about purpose. Why is public speaking even important? Well, when I think about that for me, I really question if every encounter is not public speaking. As an entrepreneur, when I go out there, whether I'm at a chamber mixer or whether I'm talking to people like you or having a business meeting to talk about the services I offer, to me, those are all public speaking encounters. So the more effective and engaging we can be as business people, and we can be as entrepreneurs when it comes to speaking in public or just with the general public, the better it'll serve our businesses and the better name for ourselves we can create. So let's talk about that. When I think about public speaking, I think about it in 3 main ways, and that is content. What is your message? What is it that you'd really like to say? The second is communication. How are you going to say that? How are you going to communicate that important piece you want somebody to walk away with? And the third is connection. what you say, how you say it, and your connection with the audience in terms of how that message lands. What I see, something I like to call TMI. More often than not, there is simply too much information when I go and see presenters and see them speak. And either there's too much information on their slides if they're using a PowerPoint presentation, or there's too much information that they're talking about. And that has one of two effects generally. One, it either makes people's heads explode. There's just so much information and overstimulation that the audience doesn't even know what to do with it. And they'll leave feeling a little bit drained and probably confused. Or the second is boredom. There's just so much going on that your audience can't keep up, and so they tune out. When it comes to communication, often this is what I encounter. People are nervous, anxious, a little bit awkward and shy. And what that does, it really takes away from the message. I'll see people kind of hiding out in the corner, knowing that people can see them, but not really wanting to be seen. Or they'll talk, and it's almost like they're talking to themselves in their own little world, and not really seeing and wanting to communicate to the audience outside of them. And I feel badly for the people. When I see them so awkward and nervous, my heart goes out to them, and that's when I become disengaged from what they're actually telling me. The third is what I like calling death by PowerPoint. Many of you have probably experienced that. I certainly have. I've also created horrible PowerPoint presentations that kill my audience. The worst part about that is it doesn't only kill your message, it really kills what it is you're trying to say and the connection and engagement with your audience. So given the status quo, and again, these are things that I encounter when I go and see other speakers. What should we not do when it comes to effective speaking? Number one, don't confuse your poor audience. Don't give them a confusing message. Really, what you want to do is keep it simple, and we'll talk more about that later. Don't confuse your poor audience with too much information and too unclear of a message. Don't get caught with your pants down like I did at the university lecture a few years ago. I was so comfortable and confident with myself and my public speaking abilities that I failed to acknowledge the planning and the preparation that was involved. So there I was, standing basically with my pants down and really having a hard time to figure out how I could correct that. Don't forget your body language and your voice, the key parts of communication. Studies show that 75% of your impact is created with your body language, your gestures, the tone of your voice, and the volume. So if you're forgetting about your body language in terms of communication, your audience may only be getting 25% of your message. That means no matter how great your message is, only 25% of it is landing. So don't forget about your body language and how you communicate.